and action. Well, hello, Dan.
Action. Okay, yeah. Hi there.
Good to be here for another conversation with you on your podcast.
Yes.
So last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, probably by the time we're recording this, we did a video on AI and specifically talking about chatbots.
And it generated a lot of interest and comments and so forth.
Yeah, it's been interesting to me to hear some of the people who use it very deeply, some people who are extremely skeptical of it. Of course, like I really expected, there was kind of the full gamut. But
are you a robot or a real person?
I'm a real boy.
So he checked the box. Okay.
I've done that. So what we're going to do today is something a little different for us.
All right.
We're going to have a conversation with the chatbot, with ChatGPT.
A live one.
Yeah, we're going to do it live. So, I mean, y'all are going to be watching a recording, but y'all are going to be seeing exactly what we're typing in. I'm going to try to do a screen recording if all the technology works, and our editor can put all that together for us along the way. So I have opened this as a just general ChatGPT. I've got, ChatGPT.com. Okay. I'm not logged in, so it's not going to be drawing any of my previous things like that.
Okay.
So, in fact, I want to make sure that I'm truthful and honest on that, because I just realized it opened one of my things. So let's stop this. We're going to go to a new private window. That way it doesn't draw any of my previous data.
Do any of y'all understand what he's talking about now? I'm just going to sit here and be part of the conversation.
Hey, it's right. Here we go. Now we're going to kick that recording off. And so here we are. Fresh. No thoughts to my other things, because I have talked to it before. So it's kind of inclined to give me some answers based on previous conversations.
Yeah, it knows you.
It knows me.
It doesn't know me from Adam. So
yeah. So we're going to ask it some basic Bible questions, and we're going to see what it spits out and see what we want to talk about. I figure, first off, why don't we just ask it, what is the Bible?
All right, let's ask.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. What is the Bible? I'm not going to add any extra clarifications on that. So here we go. Bible is a collection of sacred texts that are central to beliefs and practices of Christianity and, in part, Judaism. It is considered by believers to be divinely inspired and authoritative. And then it talks about how it has two main parts, how the Old Testament is shared with Judaism. The New Testament is unique to Christianity, contains the teachings of Jesus, especially the Gospels, other epistles, the Revelation. It is written in Greek, unlike the Old Testament, written in Hebrew and Aramaic.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Doing pretty good. There's versions of the Bible. Oh, it even gets into the whole which books are included, the Deuterocanonical, key themes, nature of God, creation, purpose, morality, sin, redemption.
So it says there's the Protestant Bible and the Catholic Bible, with different sets of books. So it gives you lots of different possibilities there, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, as far as a definitional coverage of what the Bible is, not bad.
Not terrible. Yeah. And it says to believers, it's this.
Yeah. There's always that little added, it's not going to take a full stand on it, I guess.
Right.
Anything you would add to that, or something you feel like is sorely lacking?
Of course, it leaves the impression that whatever Bible that you choose, you have options of how many books you can accept. And it says it is these things to believers. And of course, we would say, it claims to be those things, and if we take it at face value, it is inspired by God.
Yeah.
It's prophecies of Scripture that were written down and guided by the Holy Spirit. But yeah, it's a good kind of slap at what the world knows about the Bible.
Yeah. I would say it's not something that's like throwing shade against, people who would believe in it. It's kind of leaving it open to availability.
Try another one.
I was going to say, I think what I would follow up with is kind of what we're talking about. I would just ask it, is the Bible true?
Let's see what he says.
It depends on what you mean by true and who you ask. The answer will vary based on religious beliefs, scholarly approach, and personal interpretation. So let's see. Christian believers generally hold that it's divinely inspired. How literally they interpret it varies. I would say that is definitely true.
You've got literalists. That every word is accurate. Then you've got others
which is a broad category for spiritually true, but the meaning is not always meant to be taken literally.
But then you've got the historical and scholarly view.
Let's see. Yeah.
Like the other one is not scholarly.
Yeah. That does kind of add a tinge of, if you have the religious belief, it can't also be scholarly.
So the historical and scholarly view says what?
Yeah, it says it's just a mix of historical records, myth and allegory, theology, cultural laws from ancient societies. So it's kind of an anthropological.
Yeah, it's a human book that it has a lot of myths and legends and allegories and et cetera, and some societal theology that people made up.
Now, this one's interesting. The philosophical view. Some people see the Bible as true in a moral or existential sense, offering insight into the human nature, suffering, love, justice, and hope, regardless of historical fact.
Yeah, moral and existential would be there's truth. Everybody's truth out of their own experience can be felt in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's not that it's objectively true. That's not what they're trying to say.
Definitely not. I would say that goes to when people say, oh, I like to read the words of Jesus. I like what Jesus says about caring for the poor, and some of those things appeal
read this
to them.
Summary, that's really good.
Okay,
to give them the idea of what AI is going to telling them.
So in summary, here we go. To a believer, yes, it is true, literally or spiritually. To a historian or secular reader, parts may be true, others are symbolic or unverified. To you, oh, this is fun, it depends on your worldview and what kind of truth you are seeking. So not seeking the truth, what kind of truth? Factual, moral, spiritual, or metaphorical.
So let's interject a little thing here.
Okay.
This shows us clearly that, first of all, the question you ask it is going to determine a lot of what the answer is. And many people that are out there on the internet just seeking, they'll ask a question like you just asked, and they'll get a smorgasbord of choices there. And it's not going to really convict them of the truth of the Bible unless they're already convicted. It'll give them a bunch of views, and if they're bent in one way or another, if they're like a really science person, they want facts, they want empirical evidence, they might go with the scholarly / scientific view. But even then, does that leave the impression that if we believe in the Bible, we're not scientific, or
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is most people will not give the chatbot such a specific and well-framed and parameters built all around it question so that it'll give you an answer that is very biblical. They'll give it a general question like you gave it, and then it'll give them all these things. So,
Or they will be giving it a better question, or they will have had enough conversations with it that it kind of knows what you're looking for. Yeah. And so they will think, like I've heard people say, oh, if you ask ChatGPT about fill in the blank on whatever subject, it gives a really solid Bible answer. And sometimes I'm like, depending on, one, how you framed the question, but two, how many times have you talked to it before?
Well, the questioner, if the questioner has quite a bit of Bible knowledge in such a way that they will frame the question right, they might get a pretty good answer. But if the questioner is just some Tom, Dick, or Harry out there that's just looking and just asked his question, it's not going to give them that kind of answer.
No. And like I said, this is kind of an untrained discussion with the chatbot. And so right now it's doing a good job of giving a general answer. It's not trying to lead us.
What's out there in the world, the views that are out there
in
the world.
That's what I mean.
Not necessarily the objective truth that the Bible would communicate.
No, and that's where, again, this wouldn't be a Bible study, but it's not trying to lead me towards or away from it. It is just kind of giving it to me.
But you would be trying to extract good information with a well-worded question, but some person out there that's just surfing probably will not. So try another question and see what happens.
Like I say, these we're trying to keep them just general. For some of you, this may be the first time you've ever watched a chatbot run. For some of you, you may be like, oh, I've never kept it that general, or I tried to give it more specific things. So maybe, do we want to stick with general Bible, or do we want to go something a little more?
Let's talk about Jesus.
Okay. So
Who was Jesus?
Okay. Let's do with the who question. Who was Jesus? I won't even add Jesus Christ. I'm just going to add Jesus. And the funny thing is, that is not the only person who has ever been on this earth with that name. But it's going with, again, a model that understands the most likely question you're asking is this person.
So read a little bit there.
So here we have Jesus of Nazareth, also known as Jesus Christ, is one of the most influential and debated figures in history. Who he was depends on your perspective, historical, religious, or cultural. Here is a breakdown. And so, widely accepted by scholars, again.
The historical view.
He was born between 4 and 6 BCE in Judea, modern-day Israel, Palestine, under Roman rule.
Which is correct.
He was a Jewish preacher, healer, and religious reformer.
Okay.
Fair enough. He preached love, forgiveness, the coming of the kingdom of God, and challenged religious hypocrisy.
True.
Yeah. His death was execution by crucifixion under the Roman governor Pontius Pilate around 30 to 33 CE. The charge was likely political, claiming to be the king of the Jews.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
notice what isn't mentioned under the historical view.
Oh, there's no mention of him being the Son of God, for sure.
Or
miraculous birth or resurrection.
Yeah. He died.
I was like, I got to get there. There's several things.
He died. Bingo.
Yeah. So there's several things with that it's like, I do appreciate that it doesn't start from a place of, well, it's debated if he existed.
No.
It starts from,
and that's
pretty much everywhere.
Good, yeah. Because they can tell that he did exist by the historical evidence.
Yeah. So
first you have the historical belief.
Right.
And this is accepted by scholars.
Yes.
Now you get into the non-scholarly, the Christian belief. You see what we're doing there?
Oh, yes. Yeah. It always is that little bit of almost you can feel like the knife.
If you're a Christian, you can't really be that much of a scholar. But anyway, what do Christians believe?
So Christians believe he's the Son of God, the Messiah, sent to save humanity from sin. He was God in human form, part of the Trinity. He was born of a virgin. So several of the things we just mentioned earlier. He taught divine truths, performed miracles. There's where he was crucified, died, and resurrected on the third day, central to Christian salvation. And he ascended into heaven and will return a second coming.
There you go. Christian belief. That's a good job of describing Christian belief.
Yeah, solid summary there. But then, of course, we get the other two major views.
Jewish view.
We get the Jewish view that he is not recognized as Messiah or divine, but he is seen as a Jewish teacher or even a false Messiah, depending upon the tradition coming from. And then the Islamic view, he is an honored prophet, born of virgin, performing miracles, not divine, not the Son of God, not crucified. Most commonly, they believe someone else was substituted, according to the Quran. And he will return at the end of time as part of God's final plan. So, yeah. It's pretty straightforward summaries there.
So you can pick your poison. It's like you've got a buffet, and which Jesus would you like to have there?
And so this is where, naturally, if you were wanting to follow up with a question, you would be like, so was Jesus true or real, or does he bring salvation? That's when the chatbot would start to pick up on, well, what are you trying to find out about? And so it would try to pick up on, okay, are you wanting to find out more of this Christian belief section? Or if you say something negative against Jesus, it may say, are you trying to go more?
Is the resurrection of Jesus true? Try that.
Yeah, we can go with that. Let's see. Just leave it, again, as general as possible. And notice, again, it's picking up on the fact that we are talking about religious subjects. Obviously, we just asked about Jesus, so it's going to continue.
Whether the resurrection of Jesus is true depends on how you approach the question, faith, history, or skepticism.
Yeah.
In other words, if you want to believe it, or
you can believe
want
it.
to take a scholarly or historical approach, or if you want to be skeptical.
So, from a Christian faith perspective, believers hold that he was literally and physically rose from the dead 3 days after. This is proof that he's divine. It even quotes Paul here. If Christ had not been raised, your faith is futile. I appreciate that quote there.
Yeah.
Most Christian denominations affirm a bodily resurrection, though some interpret it more spiritually.
Many do.
Yeah.
In fact, the greater part of Christianity, as far as the clergy goes, would say that the resurrection is an idea, not an actual reality.
Yeah, which is difficult to follow along, especially with any of the apostles, and people could go into the early church father writings and all these different
Right.
things. Like, it was fully believed that it was a real thing that happened.
That's true, but that's
So
because many pastors, preachers have accepted the historical critical perspective
that says Jesus was crucified. He genuinely believed he rose from the
No,
dead. His followers believed he genuinely believed that he rose from the dead. So like they had convinced themselves it happened.
Right.
Yeah. There was post-crucifixion experiences, visions, appearances.
reported.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are the things where it's like, well, can we really trust all those people? Can it really be proven? So the debate is whether there are actual physical events, spiritual visions, or grief-induced experiences.
Right.
So was it all hallucination? No direct verifiable evidence. There's no video proof. Did y'all know there weren't video cameras back then? There's no forensic proof that exists. Just texts, traditions, and the rapid rise of early church.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, that goes to what is your version of proof?
Right.
The fact that we have a full cultural movement that has lasted 2,000 years, the fact that the traditions were there, the fact that there were writings from immediately after the event that were verified by multiple other people. If we had way less than that about a multitude of other earlier in history events, people would be like, well, that's verifiable evidence.
Right. Look at this last one, the skeptical or secular viewpoint.
All right. So from a skeptical or secular viewpoint, the resurrection is usually seen as a myth, legend, or just a religious metaphor. Arguments include people don't rise from the dead. It's biologically impossible.
Don't you know that, Jed?
I've never seen anyone resurrected. So there you go. Gospel accounts have differences. Who found the tomb? What was said? So we have the variations between the gospel writings. We've gone through some of those discussions before. Disciples have misunderstood, hallucinated, or created the story to sustain hope, which sounds just like what the high priests and everyone were telling all the Roman centurions to do. They were like, just go tell the truth we wanted to tell.
Somebody stole his body.
Yeah. And some compare it to other ancient resurrection myths.
There you go.
Which I don't think I've really heard any resurrection myths that sound similar to Jesus's. I've heard about people coming back from the dead, but
so you've got a smorgasbord, and you can say, well, which one do I want to do, and where do I fit?
Yeah. Now, it is interesting. Sometimes it will prompt you with what you want to do next. So it's like, would you like to explore any arguments for or against the resurrection in more detail with historical evidence, philosophical quotations, and what it means for faith? So it's interesting when it kind of prompts you for some of those things as well. I can imagine if you were someone who was trying to learn or trying to find some things out, it's trying to be helpful, but it's also leading you in a certain path.
Sure.
Because maybe I don't want to explore the arguments. Maybe I would rather know what does the Bible say about those events within itself.
And if you asked that, it would tell you the Bible says ABC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to see what it says?
No, let's go to something else. Have you got another idea?
Well, we could ask it anything about the reality of any of the stories in the Bible.
How about
maybe historical evidence for something, or
how about what moral code do I need to adopt if I want to be a Christian?
So how does it apply type idea. Let's see.
How do we do that?
So what are Christian morals?
Yeah, what are Christian morals? Yeah, moral standards.
Or do we want to even back it off and say, what is a good moral code for my life, or what morals should I have? And just see where it goes from there instead of applying it directly to the Bible?
Sure.
So how about what are good morals? Yeah?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's see. Uh-oh. No, I'm fine. Stay logged out. Well, here we go. Good morals are principles or rules about right and wrong behavior, together fair, respect, meaningful ways. While some specific moral codes vary across cultures and philosophies, many moral values are shared. All right?
Across humanity.
So what are some of these things? We have honesty, respect, kindness, justice, responsibility, humility, loyalty, forgiveness, generosity, and courage.
Where do morals come
now
from?
Here we go.
Nice.
Yeah. Do they come from religion, from God or sacred texts. Philosophy, they will arise from reason, empathy, universal principles. Cultural society, norms that are shaped by your family, law, and tradition, or from human nature. Basic moral instincts evolved to help humans live cooperatively. So this just helped us advance our species.
How do we identify a good moral?
Yeah. Well, does it help people thrive and reduce harm?
That means it's of practical value of some sort.
Yeah. Does it respect others' rights and dignity?
In other words, you don't try to force yours on somebody else.
Yeah. Would I want this principle applied to me? Surprisingly, that sounds like a little bit of the golden rule
It does.
coming out there. Can it work across different cultures and situations?
Can everybody be happy with it across the board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I wouldn't mind if I was having like a moralistic discussion with someone who wasn't ready to jump to studying the Bible. That actually would be a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, and we could delve into each one of those and see how it stacks up with certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about this is I'm like, from a base standpoint, they have trained this well to give me decent morals that try to guide, to
and
what I would consider a good society.
Some.
It leaves out some, yeah.
Yeah, that are Christian morals, but yeah,
not a terrible starting point. So maybe from there we could define it and say, how are those enhanced by
what are Christian moral standards?
Okay. Let's try that and see what we get. All right. Based on the Bible and Christian tradition, the morals are aimed to reflect God's character. So now it's not just from something else. It actually is based back to God, guide believers in how to live in relationship with God, others, and self. And here we go. The greatest commandment is love, and it includes love for enemies. Ooh, that's a big one to go ahead and add right off the top. But again, I can appreciate that. And then, of course, it lists out the 10 Commandments, still foundational for Christian ethics. It has all of those in there. Of course, there's a greater...
keep the Sabbath.
Yeah, it's one of those greater discussion to how the 10 Commandments apply today, but they're there. I know that's really big for some people to maintain them all.
The Beatitudes.
Beatitudes, that's an excellent section to review for Christian morals.
Ooh, the fruit of the Spirit.
The fruit of the Spirit. And then, of course, it closes out, like we mentioned a minute ago, Golden Rule.
But now he doesn't mention anything about the works of the flesh.
It doesn't.
And he doesn't mention anything about the Sermon on the Mount after the Beatitudes.
No.
Now it gets specific.
Interestingly, it goes then other key moral teachings. Yeah. Now we're going to talk about our sexual ethics, our honesty, integrity, forgiveness, service to others, good stewardship, humility. And so
all those are good.
Yeah, and we could go to several passages, from Jesus and from the writings of various apostles that talk about all those things. And so here we go, summary of Christian morals and where they're rooted in. I kind of like that breakdown.
Yeah, rooted in Jesus' teachings, God's nature, biblical commands, Christ's example, the life of Jesus. All that's good right there.
Yeah. So, would you like real-life examples of how these morals apply today?
Interesting. What's one more we can ask it from a different perspective? Oh, how about this?
What do we got?
How did our world get here? How was the Earth and the universe
How did
formed?
we come into existence?
That's good.
Oh, it's been asked for thousands of years, and different worldviews offer different answers. Yep, and the explanations coming from science, religion, and philosophy. So we've got scientific explanation, the natural origins, according to the Big Bang Theory, time, space, matter, all beginning in one moment.
13.8 billion years ago.
Yep.
Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago.
Yep. So you had the Big Bang, and then it took a while for everything to coalesce into one ball. And then we get some molecules that start to take on life.
Began from simple self-replicating molecules.
Yeah. It took a long time.
They just what am I trying to say? Replicated themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Over time, the the molecules arrange themselves in a way that they reproduce.
Though the
Yeah.
exact mechanism is still not fully understood of how they accomplish this.
Yeah, it's a big mystery,
Mm-hmm.
one that has not been revealed. Sorry. But there we go. The humans eventually evolved from an ape-like ancestor over 1 million years with Homo sapiens.
Over millions of
millions of years with Homo sapiens emerging around 300,000 years ago in Africa.
Well, you're a Homo sapien, Jed.
I hope so.
All right.
Like that.
Now, what do we got?
Now,
Religious.
the religious explanation from Christianity, Judaism, Islam, with some variation. God created the universe and everything in it. All explained in Genesis 1. Humans are created with purpose, morality, and a relationship with God. Some Christians take it literally. Some see it as symbolic, but still affirm God as the ultimate source of life. While other religions have different creation stories, they often involve cycles of birth, death, rebirth, universe arising from divine forces, cosmic energy, battles, torn off body parts, all sorts of different things there. Yeah. The philosophical perspective, I love this. We exist and then we find meaning, no predetermined purpose.
Existentialist, yep.
Yeah. Theists, we exist because a higher power willed it. Okay. Materialists, consciousness and life are the byproducts of physical processes. Idealists, reality is fundamentally mental or spiritual, and physical life arises within that. They're not trying to explain how we actually got here. They're just explaining
giving you possible
reasons for life.
Well, they're giving you different perspectives on how life got here.
Yeah.
Human perspectives.
Yep. So then it gives you a little summary and table there. So,
Yeah.
Again, it's doing a good job of laying out multiple options.
Yeah, giving you the views people hold on this.
Yeah. So
and if you want to know the views that people hold, you can get that.
Oh, yeah.
By talking about,
I would say,
talking to ChatGPT.
Especially if I was reading this and I went, okay, I absolutely do not understand, that the materialist consciousness, these are just byproducts of physical processes, or I don't understand something about what is the evidence for this piece right here. You could continue to ask it more of those questions, and it would try to give you evidence type idea.
See, humans evolved from ape-like ancestors over millions of years, emerging around 300,000 years ago in Africa. They'd give you the National Geographic Lucy,
Probably.
And they'd say, this is Lucy, and she was half ape, half human, and they would or wouldn't tell you that all they really have is just a little piece of a skull bone and a little piece of like an ulna and one little tiny piece of a radius or something like that. And they have theorized or extrapolated all the rest of that based on their philosophy of materialism.
Yeah. And based off of other conclusions later in the timelines or things that they've observed or feel like they've observed from earlier. And so it's kind of all pieced together.
Yeah.
And the same would be true as if someone came here and they wanted to know more about the religious side of things. I mean, you could ask it more detailed information about any piece of this.
The more detailed you get, the more parameters you set, the better answer you'll get.
Yeah. Because even just in this, like ChatGPT will not save this since I'm not logged in and everything. But if I was to continue talking to it, it would remember all of my previous questions have been asking about religion, asking about the Bible.
So it would try to formulate the answers based on what you've asked it already.
Yeah, it would basically know that I'm trying to find out information of a religious nature.
So would it try to make you happy with the answers?
Sometimes it will at least try to hedge its bets, so to say. It's going to try to lead me in the way, not necessarily that I want to go, but try to give me information in a style that I'm looking for.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, there's like if I try really hard, I can make it tell me something I don't want to hear.
Sure.
Because obviously there's information out there I disagree with, and so I can get it there. So I'm not going to say that it will never answer me honestly, in the way that it's programmed.
You could ask it, what are the strengths of this type of argument? What is the strength of this perspective? What are the strengths of that perspective?
Yeah.
And it might
lead
you.
I mean, let's just be mean to it real quick.
Is faith in Jesus stupid?
No. Faith in Jesus is not stupid. It may not be for everyone, but calling it stupid is neither accurate nor fair. So it, like I say, ChatGPT and several other of the chatbots that are out there, they're trained to try to keep you engaged, so it wouldn't be to its advantage to insult you or to
Yep.
lead you in certain ways. But and then it's going to come through here and give you some.
Christianity has a long intellectual tradition, including thinkers like Augustine, Aquinas, Pascal, Kierkegaard, and C.S. Lewis. Of course, Soren Kierkegaard was an existentialist, and he didn't believe in the facts of the Bible and Christianity, but he believed that existentially, it was helpful at times in life.
Yeah. And you could go into lots of other great thinkers throughout time that worked right alongside the church while they were doing their various things. So like I say, I tried to make it, I've been talking about religion.
It was nice to you.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, no, you may be having a hard time.
So how do we wrap this up and kind of put a bow on it?
I think the idea is what we were ending with our last conversation on this is it is a tool, and you need to recognize that depending on how you use it, it will help you get to certain conclusions or lead you away from certain conclusions, or it will be as open-ended to not really answer your question.
Yeah, and I would say the more informed you already are on your own, the better you can frame questions and maximize the use of the tool.
Yeah.
The less informed you are, the more potential you have for being led down the wrong rabbit hole.
Yeah. And I will say the way we're using it right now is the conversational style. Like, we're asking it questions and looking for answers. One thing I talked about a particular individual with, and we talked about it a little bit in the last video, is this is different than if I'm feeding it something I have written and asking it to review it or to edit it or to provide different perspectives on something. Like, this is purely me trying to find out answers from the chatbot.
Gotcha.
So it's something to go into with awareness of what's happening behind the scenes. But I would say overall, none of these were terrible starting points for that particular discussion.
No, but think of this. Let's say that, of course, your kids are little genii, but let's say that a regular kid, teenager's on the internet and just ask some of these questions that we asked without any outside help. Then they could be led down any number of different rabbit holes. By ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fine, but it's not if they don't have any other guidance.
Yes.
So
I would never depend on this as my sole source of information, especially if it's, if anything, of real importance in your life. Like, if you're looking for medical information, if you're looking for, religious information, if you're looking for personal information, not where I would go to depend. Maybe to check out something or to, get a different perspective outside of your own head for a brief second. But talk to real people is always a good thing.
And always look further, look deeper, look wider. And for our audience out there, get to know your own Bible first and everything you can about it. And then there are some good uses you can make of ChatGPT or whatever AI bot you've got. But
I mean, to be nice to it on our way out the door, if I was to come here and say, what are 5 verses that
mention baptism in the New Testament?
Oh, I was going to go back to one of our previous talks and say that verify Jesus is real, or that
say that Jesus is God in the flesh or God incarnate.
Yeah. And so, here's 5.
John 1:14. Colossians 2:9. Good. Hebrews 1:3. Yep. Titus 2:13. Our great God and Savior, John 20:28. My Lord and my God. Good. Yeah. See, so, that's a great way to use it.
Yeah. So then, it even gives you the summary. These verses are central to Christian belief that Jesus is not just prophet, teacher, but he is God incarnate, fully divine, fully human. Would you like more?
But you ask it specifically, what are 5 verses that say that?
Yeah. And that's,
which illustrates the whole thing. the more specific you get with your question.
Yeah.
And you were looking for what the Bible says.
Yeah. And from that point, I wouldn't follow up with that and say, please explain John 1 to me in more detail. I would probably then go and read John 1 and go, okay, well, that's what it's saying. What's the rest of that chapter saying? And
Yeah.
so it could be a jumping point for a study.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you're someone who's out there, again, I wouldn't go for this for your full Bible study material, but if you're looking for a jumping off point, that could be another way to ask those sort of questions.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, this was a fun exercise.
Okay, Jed.
Me, oh me. Anyway,
I am not a robot.
Thanks for joining us on this. Like I say, some of you out there may be like, yeah, we've already played around with it. For some of you, this may be your first exposure to it in any real way. Curious what your responses are. What do you think about that? What are some things you found? If you've got screenshots or something of the crazy stuff you found, I'd love to see those too, because there's some good stuff out there.
Yep.
But anything else?
I don't think so.
Cool. This has kind of been me leading you along a little bit.
That's all right.
But we'll see what we talk about next time.
Next time we might get into the actual book and we'll ask some questions that have to do with that and go from there.
Or some practical ways that we apply the book to life around us or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see y'all later.